Brad Holmes talked about how difficult these draft day decisions are, especially if you're the one guy in the room that says, don't take that player.
Really, it's probably more of the groupthink and the influence that's even a greater threat to our process. That's just human nature. And, people naturally want to be a part of the tribe, and they want to get along. And, people naturally, they want to agree and be likable, and it takes work to go against the grain. It takes a lot of work, and that's why I always have a lot of respect for the lone wolf. When we're in there and everybody's saying yes, 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 and it's one of those, some obvious prospect, it's that one person in that room that I was like, I don't, and that's, I'm not saying, oh, there's no, I'm like, no, I want to listen to him, or I want to listen to her. I want to listen to that person, because that was a lone wolf, and it takes a lot to be that lone wolf.
It's a great example of why Brad Holmes is such a great leader as well. Why? Because he doesn't want a bunch of yes men around him.
There you go.
Find a good leader that has a bunch of yes men around him. I'll show you Tom Gores.
Yep. Good call.
Nobody wants to be the guy that tells their boss no. It takes a strong-willed, strong-principled, strong somebody with conviction about how they evaluate talent to say, Brad, this player cannot be a Detroit Lion. Mm-hmm. This player should not be a Detroit Lion, and I'll tell you why. And instead of Brad Holmes saying, who's this yahoo?
Yeah.
Get this guy out of the room now. He shuts the room up and says, you speak. I want to hear what you have to say. And I just think that's a mark of a great leader. And if you want to know why the Detroit Lions organization has turned around and become one of the best organizations, not only in the NFL, but in sports, that's exactly why.
Just remember the Brock Purdy story I told you guys about. There's a guy in the room when San Francisco is picking the last player, because they're last up at this one time, and Brock Purdy's name comes up because Brian Griese, former Michigan quarterback, former standout, great announcer, great analyst, now the quarterback's coach of the San Francisco 49ers. He says, you know what? I did this kid Brock Purdy's games on TV. This kid's got something special. Why don't you give a shot, take a shot on him? And what do? They draft him, and he takes him where? This guy, Mr. Irrelevant, is now going to be a millionaire, multi-millionaire. There you go.
It's funny, though, too, and you look at the San Francisco 49ers organization and look at the Carolina Panthers organization. You've got one of the best organizations in the NFL and one of the worst organizations in the NFL. There was Colin was talking about an NFL quarterbacks coach today that said, yeah, situation matters. Situation matters. Brock Purdy goes to a great organization of the San Francisco 49ers with an incredibly talented team, with an incredibly stable head coach, and Brock Purdy succeeds.
Yep.
Now put Brock Purdy on the Carolina Panthers.
Yep. You won't hear about him.
You would never know his name.
Nope.
And he'd be just a guy. And it's a really good highlight of just how much it matters where you go.
Yeah, it definitely matters about where you go. In the NFL, the higher the pick, you're probably going to a franchise that is on the come up, or they're trying to rebuild. They're trying to get their program going in the right direction. So you're not going to be playing with the best talent. You're going to have to figure it out. A lot of times you take lumps, especially at the quarterback position. I mean, look at what Bryce Young is going through down there. They don't have an offensive line. They don't have any weapons. It's nothing really he can do. It's much like Joey Harrington here in Detroit and David Carr with the Texans when they first started in 2000. Kind of, we said that last week, but that's why it pays to have people like Brad Holmes, and that's where Brad Holmes comes in. It doesn't matter about what the situation is. Brad Holmes believes in the players that he's picking. He picks out of necessity for the integrity of the culture, the culture that they put in place starting in 2021. This is that grit, this is that villain, and they pick players to match that. I think a lot of teams, they try to pick players that are home runs in those moments, that this is the guy that's going to turn our franchise around. It's not one guy that's going to turn your franchise around. It's not a guy that you're going to pick, especially when you're at the depths of the bottoms. It's guys, it's players, it's moves that you make in sequence. So I think that's why we're very lucky here in Detroit. We've had a lot of years with bad GMs. We've had a ton of GMs coming here with a plan, and it just never seems to work. And you want to blame the forwards and you want to blame et cetera, et cetera. Now we have people that take accountability. Brad Holmes, Sheila Ham, and Dan Campbell, these are accountable individuals that have put together a system that here we are getting excited about the draft, and we don't even pick the 29.
Look at the Brad and the Lions last year. You cannot take a running back in the first round, let alone in the first 12 picks.
Right.
And what does he say? We're going to move back because I know I got a guy I want in Jahmyr Gibbs. What pick was that?
12.
With the 12th
They
pick,
moved
the
back.
Lions select
Yep. Went from 6 to
Jahmyr
12.
Gibbs.
Right.
What? Jahmyr Gibbs?
Everybody, hey.
Then they come back with Jack Campbell. And they're like, wow, you traded T.J. Hawkinson away. What are you going to do? With the next pick, we're going to take Sam Laporta from Iowa. All of these picks that people said you can't do those picks in that order. He does it. Each one of them up for an award last year. Each one of them a huge part of getting him to the finals.
And all 4 of those players, too, were graded first-round picks by the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
2 of them came in the second round.
Yep.
And Brad Holmes said last year, and he didn't put it out, as far as I know, he has not put that number out this year. But last year he said they had 14 players with first-round grades. You know, so what he's saying is there's 18 players that were drafted in the first round of the NFL draft that were just
second or third
round picks
Yeah.
in a normal draft with lots of talent. This year, he said that number is higher. Don't know what that number is. But when you get 4 of the 14 first-round grades that you had in your evaluation on players, that's why the Lions won the division, amongst many other reasons, but solidified the division with those rookies last year. Without those rookies last year, the Detroit Lions are not division champions. They don't win 2 playoff games. They aren't in the NFC Championship game, maybe nowhere near it. And I think now, can you pull 1 or 2 guys out this year? Because playing time is a lot more difficult now than it has been in the past. If you're a guy that can come in and be a day 1 starter now, man, you're a damn good player.
I agree, but at the same time, it goes back to Brad Holmes. It goes back to the guys that he's picking, the guys that he's been watching, for the last 2-3 years, maybe even in some cases, hoping that this guy falls to us, or hoping he's around. You can make a move to get this guy or partnering with that guy. So I still think, based on how he vets the process, how he's doing his research at the Senior Bowl, how he's doing it during the combine or during the seasons, and his personnel department, it's going to be tough regardless. But he's still going to get players, I think, Ryan, that will challenge these guys in year 1. I don't care who it is. You see what they say. Everything is up for grabs every year. Sam Laporta is arguably the best tight end in the NFL. Based on his season last year, you want to see the consistency, but everything is up the next year. Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch. Hey, we're going to bring in some more guys to challenge you. We're going to bring in some more guys so that you don't feel comfortable. I think what happens with successful teams, Ryan, is they do a great job of establishing who their guys are, the guy, whether it's Aiden Hutchinson is the guy. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the guy. Jared Goff soon will probably be their guy. Frank Ragnow, et cetera, et cetera. But they also do a great job of bringing guys to the squad that can challenge the guys and don't let guys get comfortable. Amon-Ra St. Brown, great first 3 seasons, but still want to get him challenged. You still want him to keep trying to attain new heights. Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, they were up for Rookie of the Year. You don't want these guys to get comfortable just because they had 1 good year as a rookie. You want to keep bringing in the balance, and you want to keep letting them know, hey, you got to get better every year. And I think that's what Brad Holmes will do. He'll bring in guys that will challenge, but guys that can actually play themselves as well.